This episode is powered by pODDcast.
What's that, Stan? What's in this episode? In this episode, true believers, you're gonna see subs versus dubs and a new entry for Segment of Misfit Collectables. Haha, I'm the genie! No, I don't think that's how it goes. Welcome to the, I think we're almost settled on BestowCast. I think that's where we're at now. This is, of course, I'm Paul, that's producer Riley, and this is Bryce Lionel. Bryce Lionel is not enjoying the situation he's in right now. But, you know, the cat is like tranquil, like he's just like, whatever.
What is happening?
Whatever. I don't know. You just did origami with your necklace. You want me to take this off, Bryce? Do you want me to behead you? Do you want to eat it? I know. No, eat the lion head. Eat the lion head. Eat it. That's okay.
Bye, Letty.
You can go. Bye. Goodbye.
Don't bump the camera
Goodbye.
on your way out.
Quit putting your. Here, he got it too. He's like, mine. Nom 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 nom. At the time of this recording, we finally got out the first episode, and my word, that was rocky.
Oh, yeah.
That was rocky. Well, we're getting into our groove. I feel like we're getting there. We're getting. Hey! Don't sharpen your claws on that leather thing.
Yeah, I want my claws to be sharp.
So how about we do something that goes in sync a little bit with the Sleepless Knights podcast? Over in the Sleepless Knights podcast, we talked about subs versus dubs. And I said that I was going to carry it over to you because, you know, over Sleepless Nights, Mr. Lobo was only 5 years older than me. So it's like a 50-year-old and a 45-year-old like talking about subs versus dubs. So let's get the 45-year-old and the 15-year-old difference of opinion. What are you doing, Bryce? So let's get the that age difference.
The 20-year-old Pez.
Bryce! Because with like Lobo and I, we grew up, it wasn't anime. It was Japanimation when we grew up.
All you're going to hear in the background is...
I need to pause this 1 second. Sorry for the break. He was, Bryce was getting into something he shouldn't have. They were medicated Treatos, and he can't have those, but he can have the treat. So we'll let him snack here on the table. While we,
and all you hear is...
While we talk about our Japanimation. Now, as I was saying before we had to... Right here. Before we had to take a break to save Bryce. The break to save Bryce. He drooled on a little bit. Back in our day, when the anime used to be on like TNT, it hadn't yet, like, I don't think it made it, like, I don't think Adult Swim didn't exist at that time. I don't even think Toonami was probably in its infancy at that time, but it was like TNT and you had to watch Japanimation. And it was even bad where, like I was recalling with Lobo, like, it was all like when I lived in Punxsutawney and I had to go rent, if I wanted to rent anime, you had to go in the little door that was behind the curtains where they kept all the porno, and that's where they kept the Japanimation underneath the label Japanimation, because they were, and it didn't matter, it didn't have to, you know, it didn't matter, it wasn't like hentai or anything, it all Japanimation ended up in this back room. But the deal is subs versus dubs, so I will let you chime in. I mean, people who may have listened to the podcast with Mr. Lobo may have already heard my point of view. If not, I'm not going to force you to listen to that. I will force my point of view into segment 1 of this podcast. So, subs or dubs? Let's go.
Subs.
Why? You guys support it. Let's go.
Subs, because I like to get the full original story. Because obviously, when things are translated, they're gonna be a bit different because words in Japanese aren't the same as words in English.
But wouldn't you think that's the same as the translated word, the text word, versus the dub version?
I mean, I suppose, but then there's also like...
Because that was the thing that Lobo and I were debating, was like, you know...
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that are purists because the written word is supposed to be closer to the Japanese language than the dubs are, which is what the whole point of the argument is to begin with.
Yeah.
But there are still certain words that don't exist in the English language, and there are still some translations that were like, well, is the text translation still true to the Japanese language? Because I know that there's different things with different subs, you know, or same things I should say, with different subtitles as they get closer and closer to try to get to that word that they're trying to. You know, like, were you with me? No, I don't think you were with me when we interviewed. Hold on, I gotta think of her name. Oh, I just took brain medicine. I took all those brain pills, and I still can't think of her name. Trina Nishimura. I can remember she did that when she would talk to Harold. She would accentuate her names because it's a Japanese name. But she does the voice of Mikasa from Attack on Titan. So she does the dub version of Mikasa. And according to her, and you can watch that interview right here somewhere. I mean, it's on the Bestow TV channel, and I highly suggest that you check it out. I will do my best to try to translate what she was saying, but she basically was saying like there's certain things that in Japan, and I'm assuming that this must be for a general audience kind of ordeal. This is not like people that are just into that thing, but they're like, you know, like Mikasa, how she is in Japan and how she translates into an American audience is kind of a negative thing. Like it's not really a positive. It's not a positive spin. Or even if you showed the American version of Mikasa to a Japanese audience, they would kind of take that as a negative thing. And it's because of our understanding of how that character works, or what that background of that character is. So, like to dub those characters, you kind of have to put was it Eastern? Because I guess what they called us the Easterners and they're the Westerners. Isn't that kind of how it goes? I'm not going to bother getting into that. An American spin, they'd rather put it to an American spin for an American audience, and that's kind of how the dubs work. And I would imagine like the subs would have to be almost similar. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to explain because dubs are written differently than subtitles are. Because dubs...
I don't know. I've seen Pokemon, and Pikachu says Pikachu a million times, no matter what the language is.
Okay, well, yeah.
That's an exception to the rule. Let's have creatures that all just say their names, and that's how we're going to write them. That's it.
Along the lines of that, I just want to say this because I think it's funny how in like Sword and Shield, how all the Pokemon, they like have noises. They do like their set noises.
Right.
And you get like a Pikachu or an Eevee and they just say Pikachu or Eevee. So then they're like, and it's like properly voice acted too. And you can always pick them apart from like machine generated noise.
And it's like, yeah, well, like what Meowth actually sounds like a cat, and Meowth's like, no, Meowth is actually the only one that can talk. What the hell? Anyway, back on track, because we're good at getting off track.
Oh yeah. It's so hard to explain. My tiny pea brain is working. Can you hear the gears? Can you see the steam coming out of my ears?
Do I see the Pichu running in the wheels?
That would be Parachorisu.
Okay.
Because Parachorisu is a squirrel.
Okay. I just got schooled in Pokemon.
Well, I mean, technically Pichu's a mouse, so it could work. But Parachorisu is a squirrel, and you get a squirrel running on the wheel. I've watched dubs, and then I've watched like the same anime in subs, and there's always something that's off with dubs. Like either you don't get...
The mouth flap is off. The lip flap is always off.
There's some animes where you just don't get the whole story. And they're like shortened down and like condensed and just there and not that enjoyable. But then there's other animes that do it like super well, like Pokemon does it really well.
Pokemon's probably already created for an English audience. I mean, it's not, Pokemon is not super deep as, say, Attack on Titan or My Hero Macadamia Nut Assassin High School. But then what do you think of, like, you know, there's stuff where dubs are considered okay. Dragon Ball Z is considered okay to have the dubs. A lot of
people watch
as long as it's not the 4Kids dub, you're fine. The 4Kids dub is horrendous. What's the other one? The other one's my favorite one that your sister stole. Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, Cowboy Bebop. Well, because it's Cowboy Bebop, but then Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood kept coming to mind, which is the third one that I wanted to bring up. That's another one that's generally accepted as the dubs are pretty on par. They're pretty tight. I mean, Dragon Ball Z you can't really do. I mean, that's a fighting anime. You can't do much. The only thing that's more annoying about that is how they stretched everything out and all the filler stuff. But anyway, I think the question was that is that I would say acceptable to you, or do you prefer watching Cowboy Bebop with the subtitles?
I think, just in my opinion, I'd prefer watching subs. I really like how Japanese sounds. I like hearing it. I like reading in general, so I don't mind having. You don't
like the voice. You don't like Steven Blum as Spike. Come on, the guy was Wolverine in X-Men Evolutions.
Okay.
He's just one bub away from becoming Wolverine as Spike.
I'm not saying that I don't like it. I would have no problem watching things in dubs. I just really like how Japanese sounds, and I don't mind having to pay attention and read things to get the full story and like understand what's going on. Like a lot of the time, the one anime that I'm watching right now, it's called March Comes In Like a Lion. And
it goes out like a lion.
I put that on for background noise a lot of the time because I do so many things at once. I'll be sitting in my room and I'll be doing like 4 things at once, and that's always just on to keep my brain from like exploding. And it's just really pretty. I love the language. I love the language so much. And I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't be the same as like watching it in dubs. If that makes sense.
It makes sense. I mean, I don't feel like either is a wrong answer. Like I kind of get mad because, like, you know, your uncle, my brother.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing else exists. You have to have the subtitled version. And my argument, and again, if you listen to this on Sleepless Knights, I've already made this argument, but I'm going to make this argument here, just so you don't have to check it out at another place. But you know, I'm constantly editing, and I can't be distracted. You know, like you, I have it on as background noise. And the thing is like if I'm editing and I hear something that I understand, I will turn around and I will watch whatever it is. Or if I know it's a piece, if it's a fight scene that's coming up, say Dragon Ball Z, which is a horrible example because I have all the way up to season 9, which is I believe is the complete run of Dragon Ball Z. I think I have stopped at season 3. I cannot get any further. I have always tried. I can never get past the Cell Saga. I have never got past the Cell Saga, and it's because of them stretching those episodes out. But if I had Dragon Ball Z on and I heard them, you know, heard them talking about Trunks appearing or whatever, my attention would probably go to watch that because I like that character. I like seeing that scene. Like my argument was like, you know, between my brother and I is that he asked me if I watched One Punch Man. You and I watched One Punch Man. I love One Punch Man. But at the time, I don't know if they have dubs or if they ever are going to come up with dubs with them or whatever. And it's the same problem. It's like I need to get work done. I need to get editing done. And I can't sit there and read One Punch Man the whole time. I prefer to have the dubs on. And you can't watch that. You can't do that. You have to have it's the subs or it's the subtitles or nothing. And it's like, well, the thing is if I like it, I can always go back and rewatch it. Like it's not like the subtitles don't exist for it.
Yeah.
It's just that I can just go back and rewatch it. And the other thing is that I brought up on the podcast is that I have a book over there that's been on my shelf for like 5 years, and I've only ever read like a fourth of the way through. It's taken me this long, and generally with books, when I stop longer than a year, I always go back to the beginning. But not this book. Every time I'm like, I'm going to devote 2 hours of my week, and I'm going to read this book. And I'll just pick up where I left off. And amazingly enough, my memory is good enough to remember everything that happened before it. But it's taken me that long to read that book. Mm-hmm. If I'm in a mode where I'm binge watching, I don't want to read a novel. If I want to read a novel, I'll read a novel. And it's obvious that I can't read a novel. So for me to binge watch like 12 hours of something, it's like it's not going to keep my attention. I'm not going to read it all. There's some stuff where it's drug out, so like the stuff may get boring, and it's just like there's providing backstory or whatever. It's just like, and then there's other times when there's the huge action scene, and I've got to make a decision. I've got to either read and understand what's going on with the thing, or watch the scene. And that was a point that Lobo brought up, where it's like, well, you're taking in animation, so you're taking in art. You're taking up the art of the animation, not just the story. So when you have to read the story, you're kind of taking away from looking at the animation. And it's like I don't. If you prefer subtitles, that's fine. But it's like I feel like my situation is that I lean towards dubs. I mean, there's like One Punch Man, and there's Assassination High School. Was it Assassination High School?
Assassination Classroom.
Assassination Classroom, yeah. It was one of the conventions that we were at that we were waiting for, and I watched a couple of those episodes. And they're hilarious, because the episode that I was watching, they were actually spoofing Dragon Ball Z and stuff, and it's just like, I get the reference. But I think we made up for the downtime that I had to chase Bryce away from his medicated Treatos. And I think it's time for a break, and then we'll come back. Not about subs or dubs. Maybe we'll subtitle and we'll dub. We'll do really bad dubs of the next segment. So see you real soon.
This episode is powered by PODDcast. PODDcast are unique interview questions and episode starting prompts in the palm of your hand. So whether you're a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience and have more meaningful conversations, you're going to want to check out PODDcast. Now, if you want to get 10% off your order right now, you can go to pODDcast.com and type in coupon code. What's the code?
Bestow TV 21.
Yes, that's the code. Check out pODDcast.com. Take your podcast to the next level.
Welcome back. During the break, Riley decided to break and get some nuts. No, I'm good. I don't need to sit there and leave like peanut bits all over the table like while we're talking. So hopefully you enjoyed that commercial, whatever commercial was there. Hopefully it was enough monetization to help us with our little subtitles for this half of the episode and stuff. But this half of the episode, we decided that we were going to do the Segment of Misfit Collectables. Yeah. So we're bringing it back. So apparently when we did the Scooby-Doo one, we screwed up. And I realized it right after we recorded. We were doing like, let's rank it from 10, and we can't remember which is the best and which is the worst, which ends the right way and wrong way. And I have a cheat sheet here just off camera so I can look at it, where it's the internet thing. It's what you kids are doing today on the internet, where it's like what S is the best. Then A, B, C, D, E, and F. I'll probably work on the graphic for the visual portion of the show, but we'll try to be verbal for the people who are listening to the podcast version of this. But to backtrack, I guess we got to re-rank. Let's re-rank that Scooby-Doo thing. So we were kind of ranking it based off of the scuzziness of the box and the fact that it looked like hell. It looked like it had been to hell to back. And I don't know what it is with collectibles. We were looking at Mando figures today. They had a whole bunch of Mando retro things, and like I'm like drooling. I want one of these things. I gave up one to get the your little stuffy animal, which probably didn't appear yet, so they probably don't know what I'm talking about. But
I mean, what?
I wanted this Mando figure. They had the Mando. They had IG-11. I know we're going off the railroad again. IG-11, and they had Cara Dune, and I'm like. Again, it's like, do I want Cara Dune? It's just because of her being an asshole. And it's like, yeah, I don't want her. To heck with it. So it was between Mando, there was 3 of them, and I had to go through the boxes, and every single one of the boxes looked like they were like bouncing off the rafters, and then there was one IG-11, and it was like the card was bent in half. I settled on one. The card was bowed, so I'm like, I can deal with bowing. You can just put something on that and work that out. But everything else was like bent. Yeah. So I finally got a hold of a Mando in the original armor, which is the retro. It's a little bit more than just the retro packaging. He is tooled much like the original 1977's figure. But anyway, back to Scooby-Doo, and that brought it up because the Scooby-Doo thing was all blurred up. So check out the episode where that appears in. So S would be the worst thing that we have, and F would be like the best. So like S would be like, I mean, this is the segment of Misfit. It has to be a Misfit though.
Wait, actually.
We're ranking it to be a Misfit.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
So if it's a true Misfit, it would have to be the S. Mm-hmm. And I don't think because the toys itself are really nice.
Yeah, they're fine.
The Playmobil toys are fine. It was the box that was scuzzy. So I don't think that ranks it as an S. I don't think it ranks it as an A either. My vote would be an E.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
I mean, we are ranking it from the box, but I think that it loses points because the toy itself was complete. Everything, the stickers and everything were inside it. So we're backtracking. We're going back to that episode. It is now an E. It went from I don't remember what we ranked it before, like 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 or something like that. So it's an E. I've got to have to write this down or remember this. But I have new entries that I want to enter. And this time I'm going to go into the world of Happy Meals. Happy Meals, Happy Meals. And we can take these out of the package. I will give you this one. I will take this one. You go ahead and take it out. I don't care. The reason why I'm entering these as a Misfit collectible is, I mean, first of all, look at this thing. This was like minimal effort done. This is like the head doesn't bobble. They gave him pogs, so I guess we're supposed to be shooting at each other. I think that was the whole idea of this. My complaint is like what Happy Meals can have become. Nope, nothing. Nope. When you got Legos from Happy Meals, you got Legos. When you got like Matchboxes from Happy Meals, you got Matchboxes or Hot Wheels. At some point in time, they just decided that they're going to do blah. They're just like, this isn't even an original idea. Like, I want to say when the prequels came out, like they just had these and they were bobbleheads. And they're like, well, let's just take the bobbleheads. We'll just glue the head solid, and then we'll add a little thing on the front to make them shoot pogs at each other. Which apparently don't even work. Don't even have instructions.
This is so.
I mean, here's his. I mean, apparently all of them. It looks like they all go in.
Yeah.
Because they're spring loaded.
Skirk.
Yeah. This is, like they don't. Okay, I think they're supposed to shoot. They don't. Like, there's no trigger. All right, so they don't even work. Oh, there we go. There we go.
How'd you do
and
that?
3. I just keep pulling it back, and then eventually it just shoots. you're pushing it forward. Pull it backwards. So I guess if you were pushing this forward, it would be firing. It'd be firing pogs at each other. And now I lost all my pogs, so now it's going to take forever. Oh god, I'm flinching. It's stuck in the spring. There you go. Now do it. Yep. Like if the spring doesn't push it up enough, it just catches on the lip of the toy. And this is this has become a thing because, hold on a second, you figure that out. I'll be right back. And these are not entries, but this is to illustrate a point that these are the I guess we should be describing them better for the listeners. But these are the ones for the Marvel Endgame stuff, the Avengers stuff. And they're all like, they're not even action figures, they just stand still, they light up. Like this one, his wings pop up and stuff. And they're the same design, they're just like the minimal like, you shot me! They're the minimal, like really small bodies, really fat heads. I don't know. What's your thoughts now that you've...
Kids' toys have significantly downgraded from like when I was a kid, even. And I'm sure from when like you were a kid, they were probably better, maybe.
Yeah, like I was saying, when I was a kid, when I always got excited when Legos came out.
Yeah.
Because I never really, like growing up, I never really had Lego sets. But when McDonald's Legos came out, well, you had a set that you could build a car, and you could build a house, you could build an airplane, you could build all sorts of things, and that was kind of cool because that was the only way I was getting Legos was through a $5 Happy Meal toy. And then I'm gonna say when you guys were born, the Legos started becoming more like these things where, oh, it's a car that looks like it was put together by Legos, but it's just a car. It's just a car. It's a statue that just looks like Legos. When there's like Transformer toys, and when the Transformer toys came out, they were actually Transformers. You could transform them into little cars and everything. And again, it was a thing that I always loved having the Transformer stuff because that went with my Transformer collection. Those actually interacted with my Transformer collection. And I think that one of the things that we were tossing around was that maybe it was something that Lego saw a decrease in sales because, why go out and buy that random Lego set when I can go buy 60 Happy Meal toys and build a humongous house or whatever. So let's just, or maybe the cost was, it cost them better just to make that Lego car an actual just Lego car. I mean, Hot Wheels, I remember we used to get Hot Wheels and we used to get real Hot Wheels. And now you don't even get, you maybe get a keychain with a logo or something like that. I wish I actually had the other, everything seems to have a big head, like these Marvel ones have the big head, but I have the ones, you remember the backpack chains that we have where their heads are supersized and they squish down into their body, but if you pull them up and you push the light, you can see the item in there. I have a couple of those around the house too, and it's just it's kind of like, I mean, I don't I guess the Marvel ones, there's a little bit. I mean, I just feel like they're just statues at some point.
Yeah, these are entertaining for maybe 10 minutes if you're lucky. Because this, literally, you push the button on the back of its head, wings just move.
Wings move.
And arms move.
I didn't grab the ones with the yellow base, they have lights, so they light up. That's their features. You push the button, they don't even move, they just, the arms light up.
This gets boring after a while.
Right.
You're not gonna have, years of fun just staring at this thing, pressing the button on the back of its head and watching its wings or arms move.
But I think the thing with the Marvel ones was that they made so many of them that there's how many have, not counting this was from a different set. This was actually this was a later set, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 24 figures to pick from. Majority of which were doubles. The only ones that weren't double were Thanos, and Thanos looks like Thanos and Black Panther. looked like the only ones that weren't doubles. They were the Chase. Oh, and Groot. Groot was the other one that was the Chase figure, and Captain America. So there's 4 figures that didn't have doubles. Everything else had a double. So the one version had the action here. The other version lit up. So I kind of feel like, you know, for me, it was like, for me, all I wanted, you know, when I forced you and your sister to buy these Happy Meals so that we could have like more chances at them, I only wanted like the Rocket Raccoon. That's the thing that I wanted. That's the thing I liked. And I kind of feel like that's kind of what they go for, where it's like, well, if we offer 26 things, the person on the other end may only be after one. I mean, maybe it's even just like I'm looking at it as an adult collector. It might be a child's thing where they play with it once or twice and then just leave it in the back of the car. I mean, how many toys did we used to have in the back of the car that you guys would just pick up at random times and play with it? And you know, I think like things like Marvel and especially like this stuff, I think they're trying to attract both. You know, they're trying to attract the collector and they're trying to collect the thing. Now it's like, you know, the thing is like the last time we went, we got this Boba Fett, and it's like, well, that's all I want. I don't want the Yoda. I don't want any. You know, I don't really care about the other ones. And I'm kind of actually disappointed about the Boba Fett because there's like the ship has like no paintwork whatsoever. It's like Boba Fett's the only thing that's got any sort of detail. And Riley, for the listeners, has a Sith Trooper, so he's the only thing that's colored. And then the Star Destroyer. Yes, the Star Destroyer. God, I have to second guess myself. Like, really? No, the Star Destroyer is not colored, but the Star Destroyer typically is not super detailed. You know, the Boba Fett's ship has like battle scars and paint jobs and everything else. So the question is where do we rank this? So do you think that this is an absolute misfit, or do you think that there's some sort of collectability or something?
I mean, there's people that are gonna like them. Like, it's Marvel.
Well, we're not. It's Star Wars.
Star Wars. And,
we just brought the Marvel out for examples.
But like, there's gonna be people who are gonna like that, but at some point they're just gonna be, like, it's not anything that's probably ever gonna be of real value.
Right.
Because you're just gonna look at it and you're gonna be like, oh, a Happy Meal toy, like.
Well, after this segment, they're going on my shelf, and then that's it. They're gonna be like my Marvel stuff, and they'll sit there on the shelf, and maybe every now and then I'll push the button, and that's it. And again, I'm speaking from an adult collector instead of a child.
Kids, oh my God, their attention spans do not last long enough to collect things. You know how I was. I
know how you were. Well, hell, you know, the set that was out before these was Pokemon, and that was deep sixed by collectors. Collectors were buying them out, and then just they were scalping it. They were just turning around flipping them on eBay and stuff. But you know, that goes back. That's kind of the thing that just actually reverses everything I was bitching about. Where it's like, well, you get cards. Like, you can play Pokemon with those cards. You get cards and stickers and everything else. They're functional, and they were still like collectible too. Yeah. You know, but the people that were chasing, I guess, the shinies is what they were after. But to have this come afterwards, I don't know. Like the Pogs, I'll probably end up losing the Pogs. To tell you, I mean, it looks like I may have already lost the Pogs.
Everyone. Children are gonna lose these. They're gonna put them in their mouth. These are literally just like cardboard.
All adults are gonna lose them.
Adults are gonna lose them. Kids are gonna like chew on these.
And the Star Wars stuff is actually it's at a weird time because there's no. I mean, I don't know if this is a part of, a chronic diarrhea situation or whatever, but this is I feel that this is kind of late. This is not in conjunction with a movie. This is not in conjunction with a DVD release or a streaming release or something like that. I mean, maybe The Mandalorian, but The Mandalorian was in October. We're not in October anymore. I don't know. I don't think that this is a complete misfit.
Yeah, it has some usability
as a statue, it's fine. Yeah. I mean, it's just like after a while, just eventually I'll get tired of looking at it and it'll just end up in a box and whatever. Right? I don't think it would be. I don't think it's a total misfit. I don't think it's an S, but I don't think it's an F either. I think it's somewhere in between.
I think maybe like a C.
That's exactly what I was going to say. A C. I put him at a C.
Yeah.
So now we got what, an E? One is out of C. So I don't know. We're still looking for that Misfit toy. So contact us if you wanna send stuff in to be considered for Misfit toys. We wanna see them.
Yeah.
So contact us about how to get to that stuff. I know we went a little bit over time, but I want to shout out that we do have a Patreon, www.patreon.com/BestowTV.
Link in
Helps
description.
support the show, helps us get some more Misfit toys into the programming, helps us keep the lights on. And also, in conjunction with the Patreon, as of last week, we are integrating Discord. So you can get to Discord itself, or you can get to Discord through Patreon, either or. But reach out to us and find out. Until next week, so long.
Bye.